Right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Chris, and today we're going to be talking about game development, dream projects, or whether or not you should dive into a process that you've wanted to do for the longest time. This is, of course, going to be focused more on game development because that's what I'm doing. This is the basis from which I'm trying to derive some kind of ideas and suggestions for you guys. But the point is this: I suppose there's a lot of what you would call influencers, people online talking about game development. They have their own game development vlogs and they're sharing their experiences of game development. And it kind of seems to be a pain of path for them. They're just dragging themselves across this ground of glass and shards, and they're bleeding their creativity all over the project. And, even though it sucks because it hurts and it takes time and effort, in the end, it turns out to be something that you love doing and you just keep doing it and so on. And I suppose like a lot of game projects are in fact a bit like that. A lot of work and a lot of toil, a lot of sweat and blood. And finally, when you get something out, it's really good because you put all that effort into it. But I don't feel like most game projects should be like this, especially for those who are just getting into game development itself. Games ought to be experimentation. They should be something that you play around with until you find something that you're doing with it that's so delightful that you could expand on it. Make it into something that not just yourself enjoys, but people around you as well. It's about discovering something that you didn't realize would be even fun in the first place, because that's the only way to experiment. And if you think about kids, when they go about playing and doing things, like they don't even know what they're doing. Oftentimes they're imitating stuff. Like when I was a kid, I saw the first Alien or the Aliens movie. I was fairly young. And of course it had a dramatic effect on me. Like first of all, I didn't sleep like a week after that because every dream I saw was one of aliens coming after me. And at the same time, I was trying to process the scary creatures and the violence. We turned into games. Like we started creating games that we played with ourselves, with friends. We were running away from aliens. Somebody was the huge alien and, everybody else was running away from it. And it was all scary and fun and delightful at the same time. We would come up with rules and basically on the spot, we'd be just laying around with stuff. And I feel like this is what game development should be when you start off. And look, I'm going to be honest right now, like this game project that I'm working on right now, not the kind of a thing. Like I'm picking up things from other creators and I'm just kind of meshing them together to make my own space shooter. But I kind of feel like I should have started off like this, just by having the emptiest possible space where I start adding like blocks and just trying to make those block interactions fun. Like that probably would have been the best way to start off. Not worry about graphics, sounds, or anything else. Just have some kind of interaction and discovering a way of repeating that interaction so that it's fun. Because fun is something that you discover while you're playing yourself. And that's what game development should be. Now, if you've watched some of these development vlogs or whatever you would want to call them, where you have these people who are very serious about their craft and like, I've been doing this shit for 5 years and it's just like burning me out. But listen, I finally got the animations just right. I got some guy to make the music. I put it all together and I'm done. And, then you have other people just basically praising this game project because it is good, I feel like you don't have to take that route. There's nothing wrong in bleeding a little bit for your project and, giving the sacrificial offering to the gods of game development. But if it's something that's truly just like a miserable experience, then I feel like you're doing something wrong. And I think most often what I find the problem to be is that we as people who've played these games in our youth and had these fantastic experiences with seminal games like the Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy, Super Mario, these kinds of games that were created with full teams, with financial backing, with experts of their craft, doing their graphics and game design decisions. Like if you're going to go after a prize like that, guys, like you're not going to do it on your own. And if you do, it's going to take significant time and investment to make that thing happen. And so that's kind of the problem. I feel like most people are trying to do things they truly can't do at that point in their life because they're either trying to do it alone or they don't have the necessary skill sets to emulate or repeat the kinds of experiences that full-on companies would use untold man hours to create. So take it easy, chill, make a simplistic game. And I'm saying this as a person who's actually never listened to my own advice. And I kind of feel bad about it because now I'm into this space shooter thing and I do want to at least get one level finished so that I get all the gameplay loops into it so I can demonstrate that, hey, I can actually do this thing that I started off, right? I already have another idea that's a lot more simplistic, and it follows my line of thought right now much more. Like, it's an experimentation. It's a way to play around with these specific kinds of block in a very simplistic way to create gameplay experiences. And so I'm not going to get into that more at this point, but yeah, if you guys are interested in creating interactive media, you should just get into it. And if you're going to choose to do that, I suggest you download Godot, because that's the fastest and easiest way to get into game development. It's very simplistic. I think it's very clear. There's a lot of interesting and very good tutorials online also, especially for those simple kinds of projects. Like, don't veer off into these really weird, complex things as of yet. Just start off easy. And I feel like you'll have a far better experience in crafting your video games. Now, for those who want to create those more expansive, larger game experiences, guys, first of all, don't try to do this on your own. Like, find people who have similar interests, who want to do the same thing as you do, as passionately, and create a team. And if you can create a team and you can work together for, like, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 months to create some kind of a demo, some kind of a thing that demonstrates properly your capability as a team, go look for funding. And if you can't look for funding through companies, publishers, the kinds of entities that, companies or teams generally go for, then create a Kickstarter. Make an appeal to people like you who have similar passions, and communicate to them the ideas that you have, and then just put it out there. See if people are willing to fund the project, maybe through Kickstarter, maybe through Patreon. Start making videos about the stuff you're doing. That's what I'm kind of trying to do myself. And my suggestion to you guys, I'm just rambling at this point. You're going to feel like an imposter if you haven't done this before, like, say, videos or game development in a professional capacity. There's going to be times when you feel like you're a complete failure. You're not capable of doing this really, and you start feeling like an imposter. And at that point, all I can really say is that welcome to the team, ladies and gentlemen. You've made it. You're now in the process of actually doing that really hard, cool thing that you wanted to do, and you're in the midst of it. Don't let that imposter syndrome get you. If you're truly passionate about the thing, like game development, the only way through is just doing it. But you don't have to suffer through it. I'm just making this suggestion. Try to be smart about it. Don't make the large project. If you make the large project, look for help. Try to find those people who are willing to work with you. And then once you have something concrete that you can show to people, just go look for funding. Because once you get funding for the project, you can actually focus on making the game. And I'm going to tell you right now, the hardest thing about game development almost is finding the time to do it. If there's all these other things pulling you away from the project itself, you need to have time to focus on the project itself, and you have to be able to then focus on your life, because if the only thing you're ever going to be doing is work, you're going to lose the energy and you're going to lose momentum. You're going to lose the desire to work on the project itself. We all need a balance in our life. Video games aren't so important that you should work like 14 hours a day on them. I know there's a lot of people who do that stuff, but I feel like that's why they're in the muck. They need to balance out their life. They need to see other people. They have to have a significant other, somebody who they can share their life with. I feel like that balances out a lot of these things. And game development is for a lot of folks, especially right now, because the technology and the access to the tools for good game development, they're so prevalent right now that AI will allow you to code even if you're not a proper coder. That's what I'm doing right now. It's going to be crap code, but at least it allows you to do the kinds of things that you want to do. And that's another reason to make it simple first. You don't have to do complicated things. You can do the simplest possible video game that you can figure out. Like, think about Pong. Make a Pong and then build on top of that. It'll give you proficiency later on, right? Like, I've been going on for over 10 minutes at this point. But yeah, game development is hard when you're trying to do the best possible thing in existence. Game development can be quite enjoyable and easy when you're doing simpler things. And that's where I feel like most of us need to start off with. And once we've done that and we start building bigger experiences, I feel like you need to start looking for help. The fact of the matter is that the best games are made with teams, people who contribute not only technically, but also ideas. A lot of our teammates, they're really good at ironing out our sharp edges, our ideas that we perceive as the best possible ones. They help out, ironing out those edges and making them actually better. Like, if you guys ever watched the video about Star Wars, the first Star Wars movie ever made, saved in an edit, it's a really cool demonstration of how there might be this one person who has the energy and the ideas and the vision for a new kind of a world and a story, but is incapable of actually shooting it properly or editing it properly. And so then you have all these other people coming in and kind of saving the whole project by lending their expertise in editing and storytelling to make the experience much better than what it would have been. Anyway, I hope I didn't ramble too much. These are just a few thoughts that I wanted to put out there when I watched these videos, these influencers, talking about game development. It's not all that difficult unless you make it that. Instead, make it simple, make it fun, share your games with other people. If they enjoy it, then you've created something that actually has value. Build on top of that. As for me and my game project, I'm going to keep slugging on. I've faced some difficulties, some issues with my level development, but I've been able to move forward, which is fantastic. My problem probably is that I spend way too much time creating animations and, creating explosions and the stuff that I really like doing instead of, spending more time coding and getting my levels ready. That's my problem. I got to deal with that. But with that, if you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like, drop some comments. Let me know what you thought of it. This was a really quick and dirty video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Ciao.